You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the U.S.S. Orville.
Hello, welcome to Mission Log the Orville. This week, If the Stars Should Appear. The one where, they find a big bioship and people don't realize that they're living on a ship and not a real planet. My name is Jessica Lynn Verdi.
Nice name. Just kidding. It's not.
Oh.
Actually, I am kidding. It's quite a lovely name.
Thank you.
Are
you Mike Richards from Lacrosse?
Wait, did we?
Did we know each other?
So you're a podcaster now? That's great.
Come on, bring it in.
So I'm a podcaster too for Mission Log the Orville.
Great, awesome.
Which is a great conversation that depends on you, Jessica Lynn Verdi, with the great name, and myself, but also all of our listeners and watchers on YouTube, which we do both, which is awesome. So you can reach out to us with your thoughts, ideas, tell us what we missed. Tell us what we, what you thought of that we didn't. Let us know your thoughts at missionlog-the-Orville at roddenberry.com, or you can get us on Twitter at ml_the Orville. And just let us know. We may use your comments even on an upcoming episode. Who knows?
Who knows? We don't know until they comment.
And here is Jessica Lynn Verdi with this week's recap.
Prologue. We open on Bortus and Clyden, who are in bed, but wide awake, something many of us can relate to. Clyden wants to talk about his needs, and Bortus does not, citing work duties being a factor in his lack of time. As Clyden pushes the point, Bortus flees the bed and gets ready for work. Clyden asks the computer for items to alleviate depression, Rocky Road ice cream in hand, and the sound of music in sight. Clyden is ready. Bortus goes to leave, seeing this, and leaves without a word, and that's really saying it all, isn't it? Act 1. Yeah, it sure is, right? Hard relate. Act 1. Ugh, star mapping snooze. Lamar and Gordon groan at the mission, and Bortus arrives to his station an hour early. Alara, realizing that he and Clyden are probably still fighting again, though Bortus denies it. An artificial mass is detected at the edge of this unexplored space, and they plot a course to intercept. They find a gigantic ship the size of New York City that has been drifting through space for 2,000 years that is now on a course that will collide with a star in 6 months. Claire, Alara, Kelly, Ed, and Isaac make their way to the ship, and a centuries closed door is a jar of pickles for Alara to open. They enter the gargantuan ship's inner workings, and a second jar of pickles leads to a great expanse of meadows, mountain ranges, blue skies, and fresh air. Oh, and it's inhabited by millions of beings. It's a bioship. Unsure why this populated ship seems unconcerned about their current heading, Ed decides to break the group into two. Upon trying to reach the Orville, they quickly learn that communications cannot penetrate the ship's hull. Mercer, Claire, and Isaac travel together. Isaac's primary function is to observe human behavior, as you know, and he asks Ed what he did to cause his marriage to fail and for Kelly to stray. These uncomfortable questions lead Ed to relate that sometimes humans, for whatever reason, are sometimes just not compatible. They happen upon a small home with 3 life forms. Their diplomatic and friendly approach, knocking on the door, is greeted with a door shut in their face and then a shotgun shot at them. Act 2. The shooter is stunned, most likely. Ed, Isaac, and Claire enter the cottage slowly and inform the woman that they are from a different ship to help them with theirs. The woman is super confused and scared, and says that they are decent people who embrace the word of Doral. Her son enters the scene, but before being ushered away by his mom, Isaac asks for the opportunity to question the boy. Isaac introduced himself as an artificial life form and asked the boy for details about their ship. The boy is also confused, and Isaac realizes that these people most likely do not know that their home is a spaceship. Tomlin, the son, asks the group if they are from the beyond. Quickly, the mother tries to silence him, citing blasphemy, but before the mother can stop them, the boy runs out of the house, asking for them to follow. Kelly and Alara have yet to encounter inhabitants, but remark on the beauty of the place. In a different approach than Isaac's asking about the failure of Ed and Kelly's marriage, Alara, as a friend, wants to know what ended things for them, again, besides the whole infidelity thing. Not dissimilarly from Bortus and Clyden, his work-life balance was not in check, and their end was inevitable. Out of nowhere, they are stormed upon by weapon-brandishing goons demanding identification. Despite their identifications being in different pants, the men are not allayed and are set to detain them. Instead of listening to Alara, they shoot her, leave her to die, clock Kelly, and drag her off. A distress call is received by the Orville from the U.S. Druyan, I guess that's how I'm remembering it right, a colony transport that is under attack from the Krill. A communication buoy is launched to inform the landing crew that they have been called away. Act 3. Tomlin takes the crew to the Reformers, the people in the community that believe that there is more to this word than the scripture of Dural. We learn about the society's inability to accept thoughts of a world beyond their own, saying it's considered heresy. People would rather be wrong than proven otherwise. Hamalak, the first guardian of the word of Dural, is one such person, aka the lawgiver of the land, who would put them to death if he knew what they were discussing. The captain is contacted by Alara. She tells him that she has been shot and that Kelly is gone. Kelly is driven into town just in time to witness the public execution of a reformer. But not just any execution, his judgment comes in the form of being beaten to death by a mob. Kelly is brought in to meet the man who incited the mob, Hamalak, who insists that Kelly will not be released anytime soon. Despite losing a lot of blood, Dr. Claire is able to remove the bullets from Alara's chest and use a plasma regenerator to get her back on her feet in no time. Isaac is sent to the shuttle to ask the Orville for backup in order to rescue Kelly. And when Isaac arrives, he is met only by the communication buoy. Act 4. The Orville, with Bortus at the helm, is fighting a losing battle with the Krill. Lamar offers a plan of action to focus on the Krill's engines, and Lamar maneuvers behind the Krill, perfectly positions the Orville, and they hit the engines, destroying the ship. The Krill ship. Boom!
Boom, baby!
Boom!
That's
baby.
how you do it.
Despite a victory in battle, damage to the ship will delay the return to the landing party. Kelly is being violently interrogated, and Hamalak is not accepting the truth. Ed and the team arrive to rescue Kelly dressed as the native people, and Ed performs the old Nick Lewis routine, pretending to know the guard, stuns him, and they gain entry. Kelly
the old Nick Lewis routine.
Hey, Nick Lewis, hey! Kelly is being threatened by a little prick of a painful nerve serum in hopes of her being more forthcoming. Hamalak withholds the antidote until she reveals where the others are. The pain it causes Kelly is immense, but her cries announce her position to the crew. They burst in on Hamalak, subdue the guards, and Alara shakes him down until he gives up the antidote. Ed tries to tell Hamalak to listen to them, and Hamalak is unwilling, but Tomlin calls him out, saying that he's lying, that Hamalak suspects that this place is more than meets the eye. Kelly agrees that he wouldn't have detained her if he didn't think so. Hamalak thinks he's doing the best for his society, believes the truth would shatter these people, that they're not ready. Ed does his best to convince him that he is sentencing his people to death in a different way than his rule already has, but Hamalak doesn't budge. They head out to leave, but not before rightfully stunning Hamalak. Act 5. The reformers take the crew to a forbidden place, a hatchway similar to the door they entered. It appears to be functioning this time, and Isaac is able to hack his way inside. After an awkward elevator trip up, they reach the bridge of the ship. This gives the leader of the reformers and Tomlin their first glimpse of space. Isaac finds a recording of the former captain of the biovessel, Captain Jehavis Doral. He explains the purpose of this vessel, to seek new worlds. Let me try to do this as Liam Neeson. Probably not. The remoteness of their planet necessitated it to be livable for 3 generations. Not too bad.
Not bad at all.
An ion storm disabled their engines, marooning the vessel.
It's always an ion storm.
It's always an when in doubt, ion storm. Marooning their vessel. The people should be fine living upon the ship, but if they do not receive help eventually, they will be doomed to lonely space. Thousands of years adrift led the society to forget their origins and forgetting that they were even on a ship. Isaac finds that the engines are able to be fixed easily, and Isaac also shares that there is a sunroof on the ship, a retractable layer that was supposedly made to simulate night. Tomlin asks what night is. Ed commands the opening of a hatch, and society below sees the stars for the first time. As anyone might be when a new option is given to them, the leader of the reformers is unsure of what to do next. Ed says that after they're reacquainted with the ship, they will know what to do. They now have their future back.
Boom, baby. That's how you do it.
Heck yeah.
Really nice job on the recap. And I think we need to jump right in because, I mean, I personally could probably talk about this episode for hours, but then they would probably edit half of that out anyway. And
well, let me ask you, actually, to begin with, do you like this episode?
I don't want to skip ahead. I love this episode.
Okay, so it's one of your go-to faves.
I guess, I mean, when we started doing this, I think I watched about the first 4 episodes or so, and then I found myself sort of getting confused on what we had already seen and what we had yet to see. So at that time I just kind of stopped. I'm just going to, from here on out until we finish this journey, I'm just going to watch them 1 week at a time.
Sure.
And do it that way so that I can just sort of rediscover them new and new. Full disclosure, when I rewatched this episode to prepare for this podcast, I sort of felt like I was vaguely familiar with it, but I had only probably seen it once in its original airing. So I was watching it for the first time. I really do like this episode, and for several reasons. One, there's nothing like the sound of music to cheer up, a neglected lover, except maybe, I like Rocky Road. I'm kind of more of a Cherry Garcia fan myself.
You are too? You're lying.
Yeah, no. Oh, did you? I didn't even see that in your notes. Oh my gosh.
I thought you were stealing it from my notes.
No, I feel terrible now. But no, Cherry.
I'm so glad that we can relate. I will pound a whole pint of. I might order it tonight. Are you kidding?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So funny. Oh, it's so good. So good.
And I know Seth MacFarlane from The Family Guy, and just kind of following, see him in interviews. Really is a huge music fan and very talented musically. So, while there's, I'm sure, no excuse needed to use the sound of music in the movie, I just loved that there was a connection with Star Trek, as Robert Wise directed both The Sound of Music and Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So I thought that was
not know that.
Pretty cool, as well as West Side Story, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Got to start way back as an editor with Citizen Kane, working with Orson Welles. So yeah, that's some old school Hollywood talent right there. In Robert
and we
Wise.
know that Seth loves that stuff. He loves musicals and all, his tastes are very obvious, and he makes them known in the works that he does.
So since I already stole half of your note,
I have a question instead.
Okay, go ahead.
What is your go-to movie when you're super sad?
Oh my God, this is gonna make me sound like such a dork. I love the movie Star Trek Insurrection.
You're such a dork.
I am, because nobody likes that movie for some reason, but I find that to be one of the most. You're
depressed movie, this is what you watch when I want to feel better. So
yeah, I do, because that to me is a movie where the stakes aren't huge.
Sure.
They're not trying to save the galaxy. They're not trying to save all sentient life as we know it. They're trying to save 600 people.
Yeah.
But to do the right thing, Picard and team are really willing to kind of lay it all on the line and do the right thing.
When Geordi's eyesight becomes better and
yeah, so they're on that planet with the inside what they call the briar patch, and the particular kind of radiation sort of keeps everybody young and regenerates Geordi's implants, and Picard starts to feel a little young and does the mambo or some kind of dance, and meets Donna Murphy, who
I saw that movie in the theaters, and it was probably the only Star Trek I've ever seen in the theater besides the other timeline, the Kelvin timeline.
Right.
So, because I was a perfect kid, age to go see that film in the movie. I don't hate it. I just don't remember it very well.
Yeah, no, I always recommend a second look to it. It has a perfect sort of balance of, it's got some campiness and some funny moments as well.
It's just like an extra long TNG episode, probably.
It is, and I think it's the most TNG-esque of the movies.
Sure,
where it definitely has that. How about you? Go to depression movie.
It's so funny. I was just talking about this on my other podcast, You Don't Know Nick, about having walking pneumonia. But I didn't share on that this episode that I watched Moulin Rouge like 50 times while I was recovering because it was on Showtime or HBO for the first time. Like it had just been released and HBO must have just bought it. So it was on every 2 hours on the 2 hours. So I would watch it and I would cry and then watch it again and then cry. So I think like if I was feeling really sad right now, I'd probably put on Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that in the movies with then girlfriend, now wife.
Oh, she?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Was that your first date?
No.
Oh, so you guys weren't like necking during it, so you didn't miss it.
Yeah. No. I mean, I remember going to this bar, but I digress. So it was kind of a bar, movie theater kind of thing in St. Louis. Where we caught it. So, and we were with a group of people, so I doubt we were just
no necking. Maybe some like
necking.
strong.
It also wasn't 1959, so we were not necking.
Still necks. People neck.
People neck. Okay.
I don't know. Actually, I don't even think I know what necking is. But I will say, I think it's funny how we get mature dick jokes now.
We do. We do.
You know what I mean?
It's third episode in a row with that, and I think it is. I think it's funny. I think the humor on the show does a really good job to make the characters relatable.
And they do a good job with let's describe what a dick is, and then when Mercer calls Hamilak before meeting him a dick, that's actually a compliment.
That is a compliment.
So enjoyable.
Yeah, it was definitely good.
What do you think the food is that they feed him?
I don't know, but getting back to sort of that humor, like first thing I was thinking was like, oh, I bet that's good. I bet that's
great.
Farm to table, probably. It looked like maybe it was some kind of squash or grilled, grilled vegetables or something like that.
Potato, it looked like something or other.
Yeah,
like a stew.
It did look like kind of a stew vegetable medley or something like that, which is right in my wheelhouse.
He trusted that way too much. He was just like, he probably wasn't even hungry.
But I think it's just a great example of the humor making the characters relatable. One of the things that Star Trek does is that they're all such exceptional individuals at times that I think the relatability suffers. Like they're aspirational. Like I would like to be like Picard and be able to, recite the complete works of William Shakespeare and, things like that. I'm not. I'll never be able to. But being, maybe a little bit less knowledgeable and, just a little bit more using comic relief, at work or in a work setting like people do. You're not a comedian. You're just, you're just trying to be funny with your friends. And I kind of see it as just a kind of a slightly exaggerated, version of that when they use humor in this show.
Yeah.
And I think it's done well.
I think so too. I think it's relatable and it makes us go, oh, of course that would happen. Like, and again, I find, TV and film is done well when we aren't rushing the point. And the time he takes to spit out the food is indicative of like they could have used that 30 seconds to storytell. And there was enough story here. But it's not jammed down our throat, much like the food wasn't.
Where's your garbage? Yeah. Hey, I want to shift gears a little bit and just talk about the music in the show.
Yeah.
Because I think, maybe in our episode 1, we talked about the main theme. Bruce Boughton, who's been around the industry for a while, and the very kind of like epic nautical theme. But man, the score really dragged me into this, just pulled me into the story on this one. When they were crossing that, that bridge onto the bioship. And I felt like that music was just perfect for this. The score is Joel McNeely is the person's name, and he's been involved with projects like the Avengers and Air Force One, and a ton of other credits. But I just kind of thought I'd pull those two out there. But just really, really did a great job of just opening up that world of this bioship for me, and being a great storytelling device. And that's what I think it, what it ought to do is help in that world building process that you have to do very quickly on a weekly show like this.
Totally. There was it's interesting that he was on the Avengers. I was rewatching all of the MCU recently, and I tweeted, I was like, why is none of the music memorable? What happened here?
Right.
And several of my friends who are in the business of making money by having opinions about MCU and DC and all these things, very quickly, a lot of them responded with the same video, which is basically saying that there's been this symptomatic push to having acceptable, palatable scores that don't challenge the listener or the viewer, so that the show can be more readily accessible.
Right.
There's a lot of different factors that go into it,
Sure.
but I was like, geez, I know what Spider-Man is, and I know what Superman is. There's like movies that I know just from the score. I can pull out the dun 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 dun, dun, you know, like I can pull out like the MCU song. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't, even the first Avenger movie, the Captain America theme is really downplayed. So
Yes.
that doesn't mean it's for lack of ability, clearly, because this score is not downplayed. Like, we definitely have a theme. You know, the theme is clear. But some of it has to do with like taking risks as well, and being afraid to take risks.
I've heard that described as wallpaper, where they just kind of want that music to be in the background. They don't want it to interfere with the story. They don't want it to compete with, the actors or the scenery and those kind of things.
And they're not competing here. Like, this one does a good job with setting the scene, although they don't have a lot of risk because the sound, the music is similar enough to Star Trek that we're accustomed to it.
Right.
Just something, an observation.
But yeah, just something, and I'd love to see, as we go forward, are they going to be able to effectively use, that music to do the world building as they get into different storylines.
I can't wait till we get to talk about like the song choices in the future too. There's pivotal for the storytelling as well.
Yeah, I got it. One of the faces I recognized right away was James Harrison, who I recognized from 24. He played the leader of the kind of the resistance group, the reformers. We did. I jotted it down, I think, somewhere, but
yeah, we only heard it once.
Yeah, I only heard it once. I saw it on the subtitles, and I'll probably come across it, again in my notes coming down the road some.
Great.
But just a great, just a very, to me, relatable, kind of trustworthy character actor that I just kind of always puts me in a place where I'm like, okay, this is somebody that I can relate to.
Totally. Yeah. A wonderful performance. One of the things I'm going to start, I think I said at the beginning of our podcast, episode 1 or 0 or 1, that I hadn't watched any of the show, but then I was super taken with it and wanted to watch it all after watching episode 1 again. So I'm caught up all the way to season 2. And each time we had a new guest star, and this is something we could talk about in another episode because this is mostly just our observations. But each time we had a guest star, each time we had a leader of the country, or each time we had like a pivotal, day player joining the episode, they were all white, Mike.
Oh,
a lot of white cast. And don't get me wrong, the casting of the bridge is diverse enough too, and it's not, maybe people again may roll their eyes. It's not affirmative action. It's not let's cast black people for casting black people's sake. But is he calling in? I just question, is he calling in favors from all his white friends, or is he actually looking for diverse casting to see what else he can represent? And it's just an interesting observation I have. And I'm going to, as I rewatch, challenge that observation again. And obviously there's probably 1 or 2 episodes that there are leaders that are, of color, but a lot of missed opportunity to be more inclusive. It was my observation.
Yeah, and that's a great observation, and I appreciate that, and I'll challenge myself to look for that more. You had the one sort of leader of the good group, as well as the leader of Hammerlock, which not such a nice name as we know.
Not such a nice name or person. And that's not, I wouldn't say, I don't believe that's a white man, you know what I mean? And that's not great too, that he's horrible.
Right. But that's, I'm not sure what,
ethnicity he was.
Yeah, I don't know. But definitely, not a good guy. And we'll get more to that in the next segment. Man, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record on this. Adrian Palicki. just did not, again, following her since Friday Night Lights, just another great acting performance. What did you think of that?
Totally badass. And the way she was handling being physically, beaten while being interrogated, and then just still being really a dick about it. And it was really awesome. I would say I would probably relate to her pretty strongly, like how I would be, biting I don't know. I would hope I'm as cool as she is when being beaten.
So if somebody asks you, like, where are your friends? You would say something like,
I love Friends. Come on. That was so funny. It's so funny.
And we were just talking about Central Perk on the last episode, that kind of Friends vibe.
There it is. So full circle, Mike.
Yeah. So
end of podcast right here. We did it.
So you brought that out with the Friends vibe, and then she did that. Yeah, there's a little place on, in Manhattan.
It's a good point. Maybe I didn't even realize. Maybe that was subconscious. Maybe. I think that's pretty cool.
But yeah, and just her, the way she kept fighting up, for herself. And like you said, even when she was...
Well, what about one's... my friends are... One's banging your mom, the other one's giving him a high five. Fuck! And F. Seth wrote that line. You know it, but it's so funny. So funny. She delivered it perfectly.
She did. Delivered it perfectly. And just that kind of resolve and, resistance to... being questioned was just, I think played perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. But you're right, Seth MacFarlane, 4 for 4 right now on acting credits for the show. So
writing credits.
Yeah, excuse me, writing credits. So we'll see if that continues. Again, I don't really know, and I don't know how many people there are on staff to kind of vet things, and if there is a writer's room, I'm sure there has to be. But yeah, singular writing credit on all 4 shows. And James L. Conway, longtime Trek director, did 3 episodes of Next Gen and 7 of Deep Space Nine, 4 of Voyager, and 4 of Enterprise. So far, it's got some definitely serious directing credits in the first 4 episodes as well.
And we did discuss this with the tone and the storytelling of last week's episode about a girl, but this was really the most TNG episode we've seen so far. All of a sudden, I felt like I was dropped right in. Like, you could have put Picard in that situation right away.
Right. Yeah, definitely could. I mean, last week, there was so much. Again, that was a time where I think we could have spoken for about 2 hours or more about that episode. Whether it's the messages, morals, and meanings we came up with at the time, or just many other ones that could have gotten folded into there as well. But a good episode.
True.
And I really did enjoy it. What do you think's going on with Clyden and Bortus? I mean, new family, new kid, new marital stress,
Oof.
new, all of that, or something else, or?
I think Bortus is pissed. I think he's pissed. Oh, I was gonna say too. What's his face? Isaac makes fun of, doesn't make fun when Claire reveals that she's afraid of heights and goes, of course you would, with your frail body and your spinal cord.
Frail body.
She goes to stop him, but just a little foreshadowing. She touches his hand very nicely. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, she did. Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
If Yaphet was there, he would be jealous. I think you left that part out of your recap.
I delete it? I think I deleted it.
Okay.
I said in my recap, I said he had another case of the Dr. Claire's. I was very proud of that. But because we didn't deal with Yaphet again, I deleted it because I was already over time. But Yaphet just is not taking no for an answer.
He's not, but with this one anyway, he did confide that look, hey, I'm just lonely.
Yeah. What's he doing with the toothpaste?
I don't want to know.
You don't?
I don't. Do you want to know?
I want to know what made them write toothpaste and what they think.
I guess I don't know. Other than that, I would think that if a gelatinous,
it's got to be his lube. It's got to be his Vaseline.
I don't know if it was that. It would just kind of be like if he was going to get together with something else. It would probably be another blob of another blob of goo.
Maybe he puts himself in the tube.
So, I think it's just, instead of,
Mike, I think
having a live female, he has
some things are better not knowing.
Yeah, he has it's just a handy tub of goo for him to play with.
Welcome back. This is the part of the show where we discuss and explore the bigger ideas in this episode, If the Stars Should Appear. So we're going to look at the messages, morals, and meanings and see if this aligns with the Star Trek Roddenberry philosophy.
I will answer that question with a question. If an alien race contacted us and said, your atmosphere's filled with toxic gases, you've got all these issues. In other words, your ship is effed right now, and y'all are heading for some serious trouble. Would we believe them?
If they looked like Seth MacFarlane, no.
Okay.
This is the one thing that gives me a hard time with all these TV shows. And again, we're supposed to suspend disbelief, and it's really to deliver messages. But the odds that every life form has evolved to be bipedal and humanoid is incredibly unlikely.
Yeah.
So and then, I mean, I know that they have the equivalent of their own Babelfish in their, head to translate all of their, conversations. Mm-hmm. But of course you're not going to believe them if they just don't look like they have the same markings on their face, but it might be on their butt. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's a challenge. I think if it were to happen, though, if we were to take that out of the equation, if we were to look at the state of our society today, somehow it would be made to be politicized.
Oh,
and it wouldn't be... The people that are in power would have a very hard time relinquishing the kind of power that they're in right now. And that does involve keeping us subsisting on fossil fuels, trash food, alcohol, and underpaying jobs. So I think they would have a hard time going, oh yeah, let's go out, let's fix this for you. So
right. So that was kind of my follow-up question. It was, would we believe them en masse, and then would the people in power believe them?
Oh, the people in power already know, dude.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I'm just like a slight conspiracy theorist.
Right.
I think it's more likely. Okay, if you were to ask me, is it more likely that they know or don't know if there's life out there? They flippin' know. And like that, it's more likely they know. It's more likely they know the secrets to the world, and they're just playing a different game. So of course they would believe. I think the Halamek idea is pretty spot on, except that this one New York-sized city is just looking up to one man, and instead for our society we have a handful of leaders and powerful men and women. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I feel like he knows, and he at least suspects. And when when his excuse was, I can't go to the people with this, they'll never accept it. And Ed was like, or will you not accept it because you don't want to give up power? And I think that's really, the message to me was, it's not the denial of the situation for logical, critical reasons. It's denial of the situation because that means you would have to, certain people would have to give up power to make those changes. And that really is the, to me, the scary part of them. We've got all the information we need right now to make critical, logical, well-reasoned decisions. But there's so much misinformation put out by those who
would have it otherwise.
Yeah.
There was a documentary that was released about the real biodome that was financiered by a millionaire, a crazy millionaire, who's like, we're just going to put these people in Arizona and a biodome. And I'm not going to remember the exact details, but aside from other things going wrong with the biodome or whatever, the findings of this biodome, the point was to see if we could make a sustainable life on a different planet if we needed to. And the findings were really actually climate change conducive, or not conducive, but proved a lot about what our planet is going through. And guess who owns the information of that right now? Steve Bannon.
Oh, no way. I was going to go with Bezos, but
Steve Bannon owns all this information about climate change. So what that suggests is that these people know. They're just squeezing, like the Harkonnens, squeezing the very last of this era until we need them again to save us. So again, it's a documentary. I'm sure I'm wrong about something, but to say that like these people don't, that we are at like critical mass of certain things going very wrong, and it's not people. I think it's actually people being very long-term sighted and finding out how to keep people in control.
Interesting. Thanks for your take on that. Yeah, but I've always believed, and I had a management professor in grad school that said you could have you can be the most well-intentioned individual on the planet. You could believe in saving the homing pigeon as your lifelong cause, and you start the homing pigeon preservation society. And now you become the first president of the Homing Pigeon Preservation Society, or insert your, whatever cause you like. But once that organization is formed, and once you are president of it, your priority changes from preserving the homing pigeon to self-preservation and holding on to power.
Whoa.
And that is where I think Hammerlock was with this, in this case. And I think that's where folks are when they are faced with the reality that a lot of changes need to be made that's going to negatively impact them.
It's tough. I have a hard time wrapping my head around what drives people to power and how futile it is, ultimately, when you think about it. But maybe I just don't understand it because I don't have a lot of it in the grander scheme.
Same here. So maybe we'll get somebody. Maybe we'll get somebody to interview on a supplemental.
Mr. Bezos, we'd love to interview you
to let us know. So I wanted to chat a little bit about because we did dig a little bit into in this episode the Bortus and Clyden relationship was at least sort of addressed at the beginning.
Yeah.
As well as the Ed and Kelly relationship with Alara asking about it and Isaac asking about it. So a couple of things. First question that I have is, it seemed like one are they starting to back off maybe on the all male race thing of the Mocklins? Because we talked about that last week, and it's not an all male race, right? They had a daughter. Clyden was born female. Havina was female. Presumably there's others. But now we have this relationship where, one individual is working too much and not paying attention to the other individual, and the other individual is eating ice cream and watching Sound of Music. Are they starting to maybe turn this into a more like heteronormative relationship rather than what was initially, an all male relationship? Is that
suggesting that Clyden is acting the role of the female here? And so is that what you're suggesting?
That's kind of how it appeared to me.
So don't get me wrong. I think the writers definitely went, okay, let's find the female stereotype and let's find the male stereotype. To be fair, though, homosexual relationships and heterosexual relationships, it's really it's unfair to say with a homosexual relationship who's the man, who's the woman.
Correct, and that's why I think it bothered me.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. To make a definitive line down the middle, like who's who in this relationship.
Right.
I understand what you're saying now. I think, as opposed to digging too deep and trying to see if that's what they were doing, I think they're just trying to make a joke. I think we already saw that Clyden was on the effeminate side to some extent, like the dawdling, worrisome, but they both also present masculine features or qualities. But I think, as opposed, I'm going to choose to look at it for more the humor's sake, as opposed to what kind of commentary are they making.
Well,
and
I'm going to keep an eye on it.
And see
if Clyden doesn't settle into more of like a traditional female role, and
which is also okay too, to be fair, Mike. And I know you're not saying it isn't.
Right.
Just in the same way that a woman can assume the traditional male role, and the man can, assume the traditional female role. I think it's okay to just put a flag in the sand to go, this one seems to be more slighted and more emotional. This one is emotional, but is avoiding their emotions. So it doesn't necessarily need to be... I'm with you. I'm going to let you follow this thread. I'm just going to put my flag in the ground and say it's probably best not to take too hard of a stance on it.
No, okay. I was just sort of curious that.
Yeah, it's a good question.
As to that,
it pinked for me too, but it's
yeah.
but it's really, I think it's really there for more humorous telling, and both of them are allowed to grow. And so what we're seeing is them grow. It's like we're getting to know them both in different settings.
Yeah. And it's a spectrum. It really is. I've been in a, great relationship for 20 years and I have filled, every side of that spectrum from one end to the other. And so is my wife. So, we're lucky that we have, a kind of a fluid, mutually supportive relationship like that. So, and there's times where I'm definitely more emotional than she is and vice versa. So, I also, getting back to Kelly's, encounter with Hammerlock. And our first question, why did you kill those people? And that smug mofo looked right at her and said, I don't see any blood on my hands. And
Very
she was
Pontius Pilate, huh?
Yeah, she was not having it. She goes, you incited those people, you killed them, and just was not messing around. And I loved the fact that she wasn't going to mince words. She wasn't going to play his game.
Yeah, totally.
I don't see any blood on my hands. I didn't kill him. And I thought that was phenomenal, phenomenally strong on her part.
I think, also she's in the losing position here too, right? Like she's someone who's been detained. She doesn't have a lot of cards to play, but she's not going to not make her opinion known.
Yeah.
If she doesn't have much more else to do. So
right.
that it was pretty badass for sure. And we need to hear that. We need to hear someone go, what the F just happened?
Yeah, exactly. Like that was, you can't do that. And then, quote unquote, wash your hands of it. Like you said, very, very Pontius Pilate. But getting back to, the Clyde and Bordas and Ed and Kelly thing, we have this situation in the A plot where we have, belief in Doral, belief in, scripture, dogma, the teachings, whatever it is. And that's being weighed against reality and the fact of the situation and information that's being presented to him. So just like Ed and Kelly's relationship, as they dug into that, or Kelly said there was, sort of a lack of balance, sort of a lack of work-life balance, relationship, career balance. And, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, I think Bordas is pissed, and you think he's still pissed about, what happened to Topa. But there seems to be the accusation was that he was working too much and, not paying enough attention at home.
He's avoiding.
And he's avoiding. So I think the lack of balance there, the working too much and the avoiding, is more of a symptom than the cause of their relationship problems.
Totally.
But I still saw that lack. They're out of balance somehow. For some reason, they're out of balance. Ed and Kelly were out of balance. And now we have the society that's out of balance. All right. They have too much faith in their faith and not enough ability to critically reason their way out of this situation, even when being presented with, new information. They're kind of stuck in the old ways. So I think a big message in this show, too, is the role of religion in preventing progress. Hammerlock says we can't dismantle the system that's kept order for thousands of years. The people aren't ready. Once again, Ed came back and said, are they not ready or are you not ready to give up power? But still that resistance to new information because of your faith is a thing that, look, there's a lot of people of faith and it does wonderful things to them. It gives them perspective. It gives them relationship. It gives them community. It gives them, a lot of great things. But what it shouldn't do is give you the inability to think critically and think logically. And I think that's where the society was out of balance.
Well, and you do see in our own history, the misuse of religion as a power tool, over and over again.
Sure.
But yes, my favorite people who practice a religion are those that are open-minded and accepting.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not a practicer of a religion anymore, but I'm the first to say that Jesus was really cool and really accepting and really liked the people you shouldn't like, and was like if I'm to believe what I read in the Testament in Catholic school, in the New Testament, he was pretty righteous. Like, he was pretty cool. So, the type of Christians or other religions I might want to hang out with, the people that like know how to, like, what's up with that, you know? So,
Right.
But you do see time and time again, like, especially in the Catholic Church, charging to entry into heaven, not having the priest speak Latin to withhold the information from the masses, book burning and things like that, in order to keep people in control. And so, very quickly, I'm so curious. I'm going to be like honest. I don't know if this is my favorite episode, but where I thought it was going to get boring, it ended up becoming interesting, especially with like all of a sudden Alara's been shot. And
Right.
Now that this dictator is just condemned this man to death, like there was they found ways to keep me make me feel like I was watching something that I hadn't already watched. That's what I was initially feeling. Right.
Yeah.
Especially with how awful it was that Kelly was being beaten to be interrogated, but it was like really intense to watch, you know? And I think that's sometimes why the humor does some of the work for us too. If we really just were watching a rehashing of TNG, I don't think it would be doing as well as it is now, even if Seth wanted that or not.
Yeah, it felt like the stakes were real. I mean, you know, when
Yeah,
Laura got shot,
totally.
I was genuinely shocked.
Yeah, totally.
When Kelly was getting beaten, I was genuinely,
Just like upset. It's
exactly.
upsetting.
Yeah. So when, Hamilok was being just so arrogant, I genuinely had, disdain for that character. So I think it did, a really good job of storytelling and bringing me into it. We're what, 4 episodes in now? And, I feel like the show is definitely paying big dividends for me. To me, the whole show was, and we'll just jump right into it. We're getting into the part of the show where we talk about morals, meanings, messages, and does the show align with the Star Trek, Roddenberry philosophy? For me, this was a great way. I saw it initially as a great analogy to, climate change, global warming, the problems that we're having on our, spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
That, so many people are in denial about, even when faced with, with evidence, and, they should have the ability to think critically and logically for themselves. So I don't know that, people would get it, but I did initially see it as that spaceship Earth analogy, and we're, on kind of an effed up spaceship that's, going to burn up if we don't do anything to change it. And that was kind of, to me, sort of the big message of the show. And then I kind of got into that, work-life balance, faith, reality balance, and those kind of things as sort of to support that, that main theme. The more I got into it, and I watched it probably 3 or 4 times to prep for this, I just kind of kept finding more and more stuff in it. But how do you feel? What are your sort of big messages? Does it stand up to the Star Trek philosophy? And kind of.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. That we're looking at what Star Trek does so well, which is give us a topic that we could be dealing with currently in our current society. They must have like a big whiteboard of like all the problems in the world right now. Go, you know what? Let's deal with this one today. And it was a perfect allegory for climate change. I think the thing that bothers me is that there really isn't a simple fix like they have.
No, it's true.
Especially to power dynamics and to imminent destruction. So it's kind of easy to say that they fixed it simply, and we just don't have that luxury. But still being able to be faced with opportunity to look critically at these things is super Star Trek. It really is. And we also just had a super heavy episode, and then they followed up with like real stakes, real life, but again, not too heavy for our people. I don't know. It's yes and no to that.
I think it's the right amount of stakes. I really do.
Totally.
Like I said, I mean, not everything needs to be saving all sentient life in the galaxy like we've been getting from, other shows more recently. But, just about a month ago, my dad and I were having a conversation, and he's, probably the smartest person I've ever, had the privilege to be around. Very mathematical engineer by trade, math and physics major in college. And, kind of always sort of followed my mom to church on Sundays because he thought, as he put it, I'm kind of taking a gamble that, this is worth it. And if it's not, then the downside is, I'm out an hour a week. And, if it works, the upside is I'm good for eternity. Right.
I hear him.
And that's an actual thing. Mathematician Blaise Pascal, who's a French mathematician and philosopher, it's called Pascal's wager. And it's a philosophical argument that, human beings wager their lives that either God exists or does not. And the rational person should live as though God exists and seek to believe in God. And if they do not exist, you'll only have a finite loss, some pleasure, luxury. Maybe you'll abstain from, certain kinds of things that it says you shouldn't do. But if you win this wager, you have infinite life and eternity in heaven, and you avoid the infinite losses like eternity in hell. And that's sort of the thing. And I was like, from an individual, for an individual, that argument holds up. Maybe, if you say like, okay, I'm going to do all the right things and maybe I'll have a somewhat,
I'm dying over here. I'm
limited life. But if the wager pays off, I get eternity in heaven, and, I get to look down, at all of you for the rest of my life. And I was like, from an individual standpoint, maybe you can make that argument. Here's my feeling. Okay. What does it cost us as a society? What does that line of thinking cost people as a society?
Freedom,
when a culture becomes
ability to think critically.
Yes.
How about
keep going? You're right there with me.
How about being able to share power equally?
Yes.
Wages
all
that are equal.
Correct.
Equality among people. Strangely, and I get that religion is supposed to give us a guideline to treat others well, but not at the sacrifice of being happy for yourself.
Yes. So, I think it costs a culture that's a slave to these rules, the dogma, and the rituals. They lose the will, or worse yet, the ability to think critically.
I thought I was really going to come to blows with you on this one because I was like, oh no, Mike,
no. So, and then you have such a society. Is it going to fail to progress? Is it going to fail to evolve? Is it going to fail to adapt to new information? And will it go extinct due to an unwillingness to put their beliefs aside and be able to accurately assess the situation? And I think that's where that too much reliance on faith and not enough acceptance of new information and the ability to think critically and reasonably and make good decisions is where this society was, and where I fear many people in our society are.
There are people that are there. There are also people that are faith-based religious people that are not there. They exist. There was a traveling priest who was going around not teaching anti-abortion, but was teaching safe sex, which is treating one of the reasons why people have abortions.
Correct. Root cause analysis.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, as opposed to teaching abstinence, how are we helping our culture ultimately? But I will say, just to be clear, for those that see me going, "Oh my God, no, I don't want to believe in God," I'm happy for people that find the comfort and in the faith. I am genuinely happy for those people, and I would never tell people to not believe in a God that doesn't do it for them or that does it for them. But I only have a hard time with people's evangelizing of it and the use of it to manipulate others. And to keep others from being, living fulfilled lives. I would rather live a fulfilled life on earth that doesn't harm other people than hope for an end result that I have no idea is coming, personally. But yeah, and I'm not close-minded personally to the idea that God exists. I think I'm looking for a different definition. Personally.
Yeah, I've kind of taken that argument and flipped it on its head personally, where, I just think if you are the best person you can be, and you treat people, with dignity and with respect, and try to help them accomplish their goals and exercise some servant leadership where you put the betterment of other people ahead of your own, personal, needs, your own personal desires, your own personal gain, then, it's a win-win. And whether or not, you can point to any factual, logical conclusion to your life and, where you might end up next, I'm still going to say, you know what, I did my best to do it the right way, and, let the chips fall where they may.
I think you're really smart, Mike.
Well, thanks. And I think that's the kind of humanistic message that this episode sent to me, and I think that's why it aligns really well with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy.
The opportunity, again, to talk about this stuff and trying to dissect it, if they're getting us to do that, that's good. It's good on them.
Mm-hmm. And, if listeners, watchers, if you feel like we missed something or have any ideas, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter and email us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Mission Log, The Orville, is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcast.roddenberry.com.
Join us next time on Mission Log, The Orville, as we discuss Priya.
Mission Log, The Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcast.roddenberry.com.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.